There is no other way. Man cannot be saved by bread alone. Man cannot be saved by earning his way, by working his way. For by grace are ye saved, through faith, and that not of yourselves. It's the gift of God, not of works, lest any man should boast. There is only one way that men can get to heaven, one road. Jesus said it was a narrow road. He said the gate was narrow. And it's the cross, and I must come to his cross.
Powerful words from a powerful preacher, the late Reverend Billy Graham. We continue to honor his memory as reaction to his death pours in from around the world.
Reverend Graham, known as America's pastor, died this morning at his home in Montreat, North Carolina at the age of 99. And tonight we have team coverage from the Billy Graham Museum and Library in Charlotte, North Carolina. First, we go to NBC's Chris Clackham, who has much more on Reverend Graham's life. Chris?
Judy, Greg, Billy Graham will be laid to rest here sometime next week. Details on that are still being worked out. But for now, there is nothing but just great sorrow over the passing of this world-renowned evangelist. A hearse leaves Billy Graham's home in Montreat, North Carolina. The evangelist, considered one of the 20th century's most influential Christian leaders and the man known as America's pastor, died there Wednesday morning of natural causes at 99 years old.
The primary thing is the gospel of Christ.
In addition to the well-known counsel he offered to presidents through Obama, Graham's being remembered mostly for his 6 decades on the road preaching at his famous Billy Graham crusades.
An inspiration has left this earth, but it always will be with us.
Now, Jesus was a man.
Crowds into the tens of thousands would come to listen to him preach more about God's love.
Christ belongs to all people.
Than God's judgment.
I said, "Oh Lord, I'm a sinner. I still need your forgiveness."
President Trump tweeted this morning, "The great Billy Graham is dead. He will be missed by Christians and all religions. A very special man."
Jesus said you have to become as a little child.
Billy Graham was a monumental person to a lot of people.
Graham once said, "Someday you will read or hear that Billy Graham is dead. Don't you believe a word of it. I shall be more alive than I am now. I will just have changed my address." Following the funeral, Graham will be buried here on the site of the library and museum that bears his name, next to his wife, Ruth, who passed away in 2007. Live in Charlotte, I'm Chris Clackham. Judy, Greg, back to you.
All right, Chris, thank you for those wonderful insights. Reverend Graham actually attended the dedication ceremony for that library when it opened back in May of 2007.
It's designed to reflect Billy Graham's journey from the farm to an international evangelist. That's also where we find our Dondi Mercer-Plank tonight. She joins us live now from Charlotte with more from those who knew him. Dondi?
Let me set the scene for you guys. You just talked to Chris Clackham. He's in a different row here on the parking lot area on the grounds of the library. As far as I can see this direction and as far as I can see the other direction, media people everywhere. I'd say at least 100 media people here, with more pouring in, more satellite, microwave, every kind of truck related to television media, print, radio, all coming in for today and the days that will follow with the funeral coming. If you can see behind me, you see a base for a light pole. That was taken down when we first arrived here this morning, as were several others. I asked why, and they said because of the funeral that's going to be taking place here, they're getting rid of some of the light poles. They said, we're not going to tell you all the details yet. We'll give those details to you at 7:30. And then I also saw numerous gardeners flooding up by the library, putting in beautiful pansy flowers up and down the walkway there. One woman who came to visit today is from Greenville, and she was already in town for business with her daughter. She was on Instagram earlier today, and that's when she learned of Reverend Graham's passing. She had come to the library today to celebrate his life and what his ministry meant in her own personal life. She remembers watching him on television when she lived in Brazil as a young girl, and he was there for a crusade.
When I was a little girl, I remember myself sitting in front of the TV, you know, and just listen to this man. And I remember he had the words in Portuguese underneath because that was in Brazil. And my grandmother, she was a preacher in Brazil, so I related with it, you know, and just his message of love and truth, you know, and just the way he did to reach millions of people and just dedicating his life for so many people. I knew I had to come here and pay my tribute.
Now, I asked Eliani how she explained to her little 7-year-old girl what is happening today, all the craziness around this, and why Mommy wanted to come specifically today to the library. And she said that she wanted her to know that Billy Graham was an amazing man with an amazing ministry, but served an amazing God and helped her mommy to be who she is today. Reverend Graham said, used to say, Christ not only died for all, he died for each. And that's a lesson that Eliani wants her little 7-year-old girl to capture. A strong, steadfast man of integrity. So many people you talk to will say that. And that's certainly how a Columbia woman describes Reverend Graham. She got to witness that presence up close and personal when she volunteered for one of the two crusades that came to the Columbia area. She had volunteered in the 1987 crusade in Columbia, and Sam Bleiweiss got to speak with her. Sam.
Yeah, well, Dondi, just the thought of how Reverend Graham has impacted her family's life brings Columbia native Elizabeth Mounts to tears. She volunteered, like you said, for that 1987 crusade during one of the most difficult times of her personal life. She had recently lost a child right before birth, and she was questioning her strong Christian faith. But not only did Reverend Billy Graham help her reaffirm her faith, in the process of cementing her own, she was also a big part in spreading that word to so many others.
We would go down and counsel people who had made a decision for Christ. And so my husband and I were part of that. It was a very emotional thing for them. And, you know, they were crying, and it was, you know, you just wanted to love on people down there.
And love on them she did. I asked her why she felt compelled to be a part of it rather than just a recipient of that word. She told me that doing this, it kickstarted her own personal healing. And her family is forever thankful to Reverend Graham for setting them on that path.